Hello and welcome to Blueprint DIY, the game show where you learn to create your own custom upcycles. I'm your host, Angelina, and this is my cute assistant, Charlie. Okay, let me tell you the rules to the game. I'm gonna show you a series of clothing items and you'll pick two. Then I'll show you how to upcycle those two items into one amazing piece. And yes, yelling at the screen is allowed. Adding two pieces together is one of the techniques that I told you guys about when I showed you my whole upcycle process. I'll link that video here because it has all of the other techniques as well. Are you ready? Then let's get creative. All right, pick your first two.
You have 5 seconds to choose, so no pressure. Ooh, good choice. You picked the super big jeans that are already cut up for 100 and the slightly lighter colored jeans for 200. Okay, so here's what you can do with two different colored jeans that are both a little bit too big for you. We're gonna cut one pair very close to the crotch seam and the zipper. Then we'll cut the other pair the exact same way. It's important to note that I'm going to layer the edge of one pair over the edge of another and sew it down on top. You can cut a little ways away from the crotch seam and sew the jeans together with a hidden seam like this if you like. The hidden seam would be easier and less intense on your sewing machine, so that's definitely something to consider. Okay, so since one pair was way too big for me, I'm gonna adjust by taking about 2 inches off the front and back. And I'll just copy the same curve on the front and back, but just 2 inches over. Then I'll just layer the zipper side of one pair on top of the opposite side of the other pair and top stitch it down. I did use a denim needle for this project. My machine was able to go over everything except where there were 2 layered seams called flat bill seams on top of one another. So here's my first fitting and they're still too big for me. So I'm going to take the front back apart and move it all the way over to that belt loop. Now I'll pin where the seam should be closed near the crotch and sew up the leg seam before finally sewing down the rest of the crotch seam. And of course you'll see the final result styled at the end. Alright, are you ready for round 2? I know you're gonna pick some good ones. Ooh, you picked the Ann Taylor dress pants for 400 and the worn out Joe Boxer jogger pants for 200. Okay, you like to live dangerously, huh? Let's see what we can do with this odd couple. I'm gonna lay out the joggers and cut them right below the knee. Then I'll cut off about 19 inches from the bottom of the dress pants because this will make them purposefully super long. Now I'll use a seam ripper to open up the inside leg of the dress pants. And since the jogger leg is wider anyway, I'll just use scissors to cut the inner leg seam and crotch open on those. And by the way, I think this project translates very well into menswear. So for all you guys that have been asking, I am thinking about you guys too. Okay. Now that everything is open, I can match up the seams. And since the dress pants have that amazing crease down the front, I'm going to add a very shallow seam down the front and back of the joggers to mimic it. After I do that, I'll sew the dress pant bottom to the joggers. I'll also turn the seam down and top stitch with a matching thread to make sure the seam lays properly. Now I'm going to add a stripe of white gross grain ribbon down the outside seam on each side by sewing along the edge of the ribbon with my zipper foot. Then I'll sew the inner leg seam and crotch closed and re-hem the portion that I had to take apart. Alright, round 4 and we're spicing this selection up a bit. Ooh yes, you picked the 2 sweaters. I have been wanting to mix 2 sweaters for a while. This is going to be super simple but so effective. I'm going to lay out one sweater and then fold the other one from the shoulder seam to under the arm and lay it on top. Then I'll add pins on both sweaters to mark where that line is. Now I'll cut both sweaters about a ½ inch from the pins to leave room for seam allowance. Next, I'll lay them together good side to good side, pinning the shoulder seams together to make sure they line up. I'm not going to pin the other side because the orange sweater is bigger than the white one and I'm going to have to cut some of that off anyway. Now I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew the 2 sweaters together, being careful not to stretch too much. And when they do stretch, make sure to stretch them together. You don't want to have one all stretched out and the other one tight. Now I'll pin where the side seam needs to be and sew it down and cut off the excess. And once I was done, I did finish all my edges with a serger. If you don't have one, just add a zigzag stitch to your edges. Alright, final round, so choose wisely. wow, you picked the turtleneck for 5,000 and the blazer. Uh-oh, that's the wild card of the day. Let's see how this goes. I saw this inspiration on Pinterest and decided to try it. Now, unlike the original inspiration, my turtleneck sleeves are longer than my blazer sleeves, so I'm gonna add those to the end of the blazer cuffs. So I'll just go ahead and cut those off first. Next, I'll cut about 1 inch off the side and inside arm seam of the turtleneck. I know that I want to use the whole end of the blazer cuff, the inside portion of the arm and side, plus a bit of the bottom of the front. So I'll roughly pin what I want to keep and then just begin to cut. And if you want to know if I was scared to cut this perfectly amazing blazer, the answer is yes. I was super scared, but I did it anyway. And I'm not gonna lie, I did one whole side before I actually decided whether I was gonna show you guys this project or not. And now I have the daunting task of trying to explain and show you guys what I did. Well, first I sewed the blazer to the side and inner arm of the sweater, beginning with the underarm seam because I wanted those to line up. And I had trouble with the lining on the other side, so I decided to cut a portion of it out on this side, but I really just should have left it alone. On the back, I decided to sew the sweater straight down the back with the blazer, so you only see blazer on the side and not really in the back. And I went ahead and cut off that excess back part from the blazer. Now, while everything is turned inside out, I turned the cuff of the blazer inside the armhole and cut off the excess sleeve material to sew the edge of the sleeve to the cuff. And it ends up looking like this. Then I can take my sleeve ends and sew them to the edge of the blazer cuff. Okay, now onto the front. I only sewed the sweater down until I got to the pocket. I'll open up that seam that's at the top of the flat pocket, only the portion that's under the sweater. Then I'll carefully cut the sweater a little lower than the pocket and to the edge of the pocket. Now I can take that cut sweater portion and slip it into the seam and sew it back up. And take the other side and sew it with a zigzag stitch to the pocket under the flap. And lastly, because I want my pockets to stay accessible, I'll hand stitch the rest of the sweater down to the blazer on both sides. And yes, I did serge all that mess that's going on inside to finish it up.
All right, now let's tally your score.
For the first round, you made 400 points by combining 2 pairs of jeans into one really cool two-toned pair that is giving all the 90s, early 2000s vibes you could ever need in 2019. Paired with my 5-minute bodysuit, rich girl thrifted sweater, very cool lucite earrings, and new pumps. For the next round, you really thought outside the box by combining 2 opposites to create these really cool pants for a whopping 600 more points. And I think this will be a really great trick for all my short sisters out there who want to create the appearance of long legs. Those front and back seams, side stripe, and length give me legs for days. And I really like the sporty yet utilitarian vibe this is giving. I'm the most fashionable astronaut ever. Okay, so now for the third round, you really stepped it up a notch, gaining 3,000 points for this super simple two-tone sweater. I mean, this was so easy, but dang, both of these sweaters were in the giveaway pile. Now, not even close. You don't even have to pair this with much. It's just enough oomph on its own. And for the final round, you got the wild card and took a wild leap of faith
worth 1,536,332,682 points.
I mean, the bottom line is that I'm encouraging you to try crazy stuff so that you can get some crazy good results. This top is completely custom, completely crazy, and completely me. I'm going on like a fashion safari and I'm taking y'all with me. So the final result is that
you win. Definitely stay tuned to the end to get your prize. I really hope you guys enjoyed this fun little method of doing a tutorial. Were you guys yelling at the screen? Let me know in the comments which ones you would have picked. And if you enjoyed Blueprint DIY the game show, click this video, short little video, to learn more about being able to pick the items as well as maybe being a contestant in Blueprint DIY the game show, America's Next Top Upcycler. Don't miss it. And definitely subscribe and share. Please share this on all your social media so that more people will know the awesome stuff that we're doing over here on Blueprint DIY. All right, time to collect your prize.